Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Greetings and welcome to all of you, and thank you for sharing your work. Some very important data and facts were conveyed. Those statistics are extremely important for anyone who is engaged in this work and actually wants to get a pulse on what's happening in this space, especially in Canada. And also, it's great to be able to have a platform where faith-based organizations can not only share with each other um, what they have done, what they are doing, but also provide a motivation for each other. Um, some really great work and accomplishments, achievements have been shared, and I hope that going into the future, there can be more collaborative efforts between faith-based groups, because ultimately, in my mind, interfaith dialogue is most useful and most productive when um, it brings people together for specific projects that they're good for humanity, for society, or a specific sector of society. They're providing real value to people outside the organizations, and not just for people to sit down and talk. And that's always a great thing. But there are so many urgent causes, as we speak, that there's so much work that we must do and that we need to do, and a lot of it requires collaboration between organizations. And as the previous speaker rightfully said, that there is definitely a very strong spiritual element when it comes to dealing with refugee crises around the world, where each religion has its own sort of set of teachings that not only um, promotes looking after people that are in some form of distress, but it also renders it to be a moral obligation to look after those people. I'll give you a couple of very quick references from the Islamic tradition. Um, Muslims' first experience with migration um, was when they had to leave Mecca due to religious persecution. But this is not what is famously known as the migration. Um, uh, that the hijrah in Arabic, it's called. The first exposure um, to being immigrants was when the Muslims had to leave. A large number of them had to leave and go to Africa from Mecca, and because the persecution in Mecca had gone to a level where it was not possible to tolerate it for many people. It was basically either leave Islam or be killed, and many people were killed. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told his people that, look, you can migrate, or you should migrate to Abyssinia, which is modern day Ethiopia. And he said, there's a just king there. This king is fair. He looks after people. He does not discriminate, even though Abyssinia at that time was a completely Christian country. But the Prophet, peace be upon him, praised him for his care, for his humanity, for his justice. He's not going to discriminate between people because of their religion. He gives everyone the same type of importance. And so the Muslims migrated. After a few years, they did come back. In one case, there was false news that was sort of spread out in Abyssinia that everything is okay, you can come back. And this was an effort. This was an effort on behalf of the oppressive forces in Mecca to bring these people back and then kill them. So when they came back or on the way back, and they found out nothing has really improved, so they went back again. Then it was a few years after this that the Muslims were told to migrate to Medina. And so now you have basically you have Muslims that are once again going through the experience as migrants themselves, but then on the other side also you have Muslims that are welcoming them, and the um, the the experiences that are documented about that time, how difficult it was for people to leave their countries. Um, it's very much the same in many parts of the world where we are receiving um, immigrants from, that there are people that are bent on persecuting them, taking their lives, hurting them, destroying them, and making the process of leaving and getting out of that extremely, extremely difficult. So there are hundreds of incidents in our history where people were simply not allowed to go, but they persisted, they persevered, they endured all kinds of things, and so on one side getting out of that situation, on the other side coming to Medina, which was it had become like a hub for immigrants, and the people of Medina had actually invited the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all his followers in Mecca, and they really they did extraordinary things. Um, at that time, and for a long time afterwards, there were no um, motels, or any kind of what you might say state-sponsored accommodations. It was just everyone is looking out for everyone else. So um, the people in Medina, they not only welcomed these immigrants from Mecca, but rather they they divided their wealth. They would give them literally half of their property, half of the money they had. They would make them as partners, 50% partners in their businesses. They would give them their land, half of their lands. It was just incredible the amount of hospitality that was displayed at that time. And anytime a newcomer um, would come to Medina, whether it was for a short duration or for a prolonged stay, um, there were people constantly. The main hub for all of this was the mosque. Everyone would converge and meet at the mosque. So whenever it was noticed that there's a new person in the congregation, somebody would go up to them and say, "Hey, how are you? Where are you from? What can we do for you? Come and stay with me." And these people hosted people in their homes for as long as it took, as long as it was necessary for the visitor. And there were occasions where a visitor would just pop up. These people would not announce their arrival. They would just come. And when the Prophet, peace be upon him, uh, noticed these newcomers, he would sometimes, if somebody didn't step up right away, he would just announce that, who will take care of this person? They are a guest of God. Who will look after them? And right away, people would volunteer and say, yes, I'll take him. On one occasion, um, the uh, the companion of the Prophet who uh, volunteered to take this guest home, he had nothing to eat at home himself. He wasn't sure how he's going to make this work, but he said, I'm going to do this. So when he comes home and he asks his wife, is there anything to eat? We have a guest. She said, no, there's nothing for you and I. You and I don't have anything. There's just a little bit of food for the kids. And you and I are going to have to spend the night hungry. So he said, just lull the kids to sleep, read something to them, do something that'll just make them sleepy, let them fall asleep. And if there is just enough for them, we'll take that and we'll share it with the guest. So how do you eat, together at the table, or at the, at the sufra, as we call it, when there's, you're not eating and the guest is not going to feel comfortable. So he said, when we start to eat, I want you to dim the light or turn out the lantern, and I'll just keep motioning with my hands that I'm eating, and the guest will have all of the food. So this was a part of the lifestyle. It was a matter of honor. It was a matter of um, great dignity for someone to be able to serve someone who is not able to look after themselves. And as I said, there were no hotels. There was nothing like that. individuals in the community were so strongly motivated to do this that they would feel ashamed if they did not have this chance. And no one was exempt from this, not the leaders of the communities, even after the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This tradition continued for a long time, for generations. So to be able to participate in initiatives where we are hosting people, for Muslims especially, it's very close to our hearts, because traditionally we have been people who have migrated, and we have been people who have welcomed the migrants. And so and today remains very much the same. It's the same sort of situation. So if we do have the opportunity to contribute to a system that is helping people come out of oppression, and what an advantage, and what a privilege to be in a country that is at the forefront of this to the best of their ability. They're utilizing resources, and they're proud of it. And really, that's one of the things that we feel very, very proud to be a part of. Is one of the things that really makes our country stand out amongst many other things. So the opportunities are here today. They will be here tomorrow, but it's really about how much we can participate and how soon we can participate. And really, we should, our message to the people around the world is that, we're not welcoming you because we think we're better than you, or because we might have some advantages over you. Absolutely not. These people, some of the people that are fleeing from these countries, are extremely wealthy in those countries. They're extremely well off. They're very prominent people in their communities. When we go and we meet them, and we learn their backgrounds, some of them are extremely educated. It's just a matter of us connecting with them at the level of human beings and showing them that, look, this experience of yours has been traumatic. It has been devastating in many cases. You've seen a lot, but you are in no way less than us. And we welcome you with open arms. And you've been doing wonderful things in your homelands, and we're sure that you will be great, productive, and contributing citizens of our society as well. So those were just a few thoughts and a few reflections. Thank you, Yusuf, for bringing me in on this platform. Honored to be here. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.